Hey everybody, Katie here, and it's Wednesday. I don't even know what date it is today. Wednesday, August 28th. Oh my gosh, it's August already. I have Tamar Altschuler here for She's the Boss this episode of She's the Boss, and she has so many things going on: wife, entrepreneur, business owner, real estate investor. And just so everyone is here and watching us, it's a great idea. I'd like to start off where you can introduce yourself. Let them know who you are as a person, what you're up to, and then I'm going to go into some deep diving questions. So if you want to introduce yourself to everybody who's watching She's the Boss, that'd be great.
Of course. Welcome, everybody. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Tamar. Oh gosh, where do I start? So I will start. I know we're going to get into this a little bit later, but I used to actually have a really debilitating anxiety and panic disorder. That's what got me into the world of mindset. And I really decided to devote my life to studying how my brain and body worked.
Right.
So flash forward to today, I've not only overcome my anxiety, I've completely reversed it. I'm the self-proclaimed happiest person I know. And yeah, like you said, today we have over 30 doors. We have our own coaching company, but we also partner with our partner for elite aligned coaching. We are real estate investors, my husband and I. We just started our own podcast. So lots of fun stuff happening.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's just go back to the beginning. Yeah. You mentioned that you had a debilitating, anxiety disorder, and it's not often. I don't know a single person who can confidently sit here and just be like, I've overcome it. Like, to me, that's mind-boggling. Yeah. So let's go back to the very beginning. Like, when did that start for you? Like, how young were you? What were you going through? What was your mindset then? Yeah. So let's start with that. What did that look like?
Yeah, what's so funny is that I never, until a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, right, I never would have identified as having anxiety.
Really?
I thought that I am like my dad. I'm a worrier. I'm just uptight. Right. I just stress out about certain things. But no. I don't have anxiety. And in fact, as an adult, I still didn't believe that I had anxiety. Right. And my anxiety started manifesting itself physically. Because the more that I suppressed and ignored and pretended nothing was happening, I got migraines, I got neck pain. And in fact, my body ended up completely shutting down on me. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. Yeah. My kids were 4 and 2. Yep. And I collapsed on our kitchen floor. And my 4-year-old said, Mommy, should I call Daddy? And in fact, we called Matt, my husband. We called him. He came home. I went to the hospital, convinced that something was really wrong. Mm-hmm. I was getting MRIs done, CAT scans, every single test that you could possibly imagine. And I was really afraid because I thought either what I have is so rare that they haven't found it yet, right, or they're just not doing enough tests.
Exactly.
Turned out it was all anxiety. And that's the thing with anxiety is anxiety can manifest itself in so many ways. Yeah. And when you don't take care of what's happening inside, it can start to manifest itself very physically, as it did for me. So it was at that point when I realized that all of my symptoms and all of the experiences that I was having stemmed from my anxiety. Mm-hmm. That's when I said, I have one of two paths that I can take. Yep. Path number 1, I can try to learn to cope with my anxiety. Mm-hmm. Path number 2, which sounds much more interesting to me, is that I can start to learn how my brain and body work so that I can not only learn to cope, but I can overcome. Right. I decided to take a year of my life. And in fact, in reality, it took much less time. Within 4 to 5 months, I was starting to feel really good. Right. But yeah, within that first year, I completely reversed it. I would tell you that I became a completely different human. Oh, wow. The way I see the world and myself are completely different, and I will never go back. And what I love now is I'm actually thankful that it happened, because I have a lot of tools under my tool belt that I was able to try on myself that now I can pass along to other people. A lot of my clients, I can't think of many clients who don't have anxiety in one form or another.
It's a common thing now,
right?
Especially with the younger generation too.
Especially with the younger generation.
Absolutely. So looking back at like when you thought that, you know, it was common with your father, you know, I'm a worry wart, little things like that. Yeah. Did you have set triggers that maybe you reflect back on now being like, oh, so that's why I was, you know, maybe behaving the way I was doing or thinking the way I was thinking? Like, was there set triggers that you were going through?
Yeah. So there was always triggers, things that fears of mine.
Okay.
Right. Your imagination is so powerful. So I was always really afraid of something happening to loved ones. That was ever since I was a little girl.
Right.
If I called my parents and couldn't get a hold of them, that heart attack feeling would start to come up. And then later in life, in 2013 and again in 2018, I had a few traumatic things happen. I went to therapy. I sought professional help, and I thoroughly recommend that. But for me, it just didn't get me past. It didn't get me beyond the anxiety. Okay. It wasn't until I actually really dove into, you know, how to think in a different way rather than how to try to go backwards and dissect what had happened. Okay. That was sort of the turning point.
Right. So an entire just outlook perspective needed to shift, obviously.
Yes.
Now, when you got to that point, you know, you're collapsed on your kitchen floor, like you mentioned, and you're like, hey, I need to do something. I need to figure out what's going on. Yeah. What were the first steps that you had taken to start that journey where your mindset was reset?
Yeah. I started studying. So the first thing, so the day that I collapsed in my kitchen, I had already done years of therapy.
Right. Okay.
So I had already thought that I could kind of dive as far as I could dive into what had happened and in my childhood and the traumas and replay them and relive them. But what I did was I started to study. What is anxiety?
Yep.
What is it?
Yeah.
So anxiety is not a feeling, right? Anxiety is your indicator that there's an underlying emotion. Mm-hmm. Anger, fear, doubt, worry, sadness, resentment. What are those about?
The list goes on, yeah.
The list goes on. What are those about? And I think that so often as adults, and especially as parents, we think, you know, that we don't have the ability or the time to really sit with those feelings. And that in fact, you should just think positively.
Right.
Because if I tell myself that everything is okay, and we actually learn in the mindset world to a certain extent that positive thinking is what you need to be doing at all times.
Yeah.
The positive affirmations.
Yeah.
And in fact, those are great. But for people who have had the trauma, if you have that stuckness there and you can't just get on to the positive thinking, there's something there that you need to sit with.
Of course.
There's some sort of closure that you need. So I actually began the process of doing work on my own. I used a lot of online inner child exercises that really worked well for me. And I want to give a shout out actually to the anxiety guy. This is a YouTuber who is incredibly prolific. He has many anxiety programs. I took his programs throughout that year. I watched all of his videos. I started to learn about my physical symptoms.
Okay.
I started to understand that my physical symptoms were indicators of the anxiety.
Yeah.
And then I dove into the mindset world. So things like purging out your fears, your doubts. What is it that you're actually afraid of? Let's write it out.
Right.
The thing about writing things out is you're triggering your neuroplasticity in your brain, and you can actually start to objectively decide, do I accept this or do I not? And what would I rather feel? Let's write that down. And so I would start to write down how I actually want to feel, and I would purge the way that I did feel. These are often symbolic exercises, but it's a process of starting to identify your negative thoughts and replacing them with positive ones.
Got it.
That does start to slowly reprogram the way you see things.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So I know you mentioned that you did therapy for years.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Why do you think it is that maybe that didn't work out fully for you?
Yeah.
But for some people it does.
You know what's funny is I remember sitting with therapists for hours and hours and hours trying to identify things in my childhood that were still triggers as an adult.
Right.
And so we would sort of go back and relive and rethink. And I would often say, you know, my childhood was actually very normal. I'm not sure that I had too many triggers. There were certain things, like for example, I'll share with you, we moved around a lot as a little child.
Got it.
So I was always that new kid, right? And so I never really belonged anywhere. I never felt like I belonged.
Right.
And then finally a year would go by and I would make a friend and then we would move again.
Oh my gosh,
and I had to do it all over again, right? So as an adult, I do have these sensitivities surrounding maybe I'm not meant to have really close friends. Maybe I'm not going to belong with other adults. Yeah. So I became really closed off. So those were sort of triggers. But For me, the therapy kept kind of going backwards. I needed strategies of what to do to move forward.
The coping mechanism's huge. Yep.
When I have a trigger, what do I need to do?
Right.
I'm having thoughts that I don't like. How can I replace them with other thoughts? What should I be thinking? What should I be focusing on? What should I be doing to actually move myself forward?
Right. That's definitely a really different way of thinking. It's funny because like I myself just recently went through a few sessions of therapy, and there was things going on, and it really, I feel like what you're talking about is what I just went through too, where it's like I'm having these negative effects on myself. Okay, do I just think about, okay, so like, why did this happen? What should I have done different? Things like that. But it's like, no, should I even get involved in that? Is it going to benefit me? What am I going to get in the future out of this situation? So I can see how the mindset shift can make a huge difference. So when you were going through therapy for so long, and then kind of being like, okay, let me just like step back and see what I can do differently. So it's amazing that you were able to kind of reframe that.
Yeah.
Now with everything that you did go through, now you've created this, what is it called? The mind method coaching.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because a lot of people kind of don't put their own experiences so much out there that you can teach people from it. So let's go into how you made that decision and pivot and started helping people.
Oh my gosh. So I realized that I have a lot of tools right now because of the shift that I saw in myself. And in fact, Matt, my husband, got into a mindset program as well, a personal development program. So the partner who we coach with under Elite Aligned Coaching, as soon as Matt started that program and he began to learn how to think, and it's funny because he will tell you that he was a very positive person and that he was a very happy person and had a sense of purpose. But it wasn't until we got into the personal development world that we learned to literally think in a new way.
Right.
And when we did that, I mean, I will tell you, I got over my anxiety and was a very happy, peaceful, calm person. But when I took that next step and actually got a personal development mentor, that's when the business success skyrocketed.
Right.
That's when I really unleashed my potential as a human being, right? My own anxiety recovery that I did alone got me to a place of really incredible gratitude and peace. And I felt so content, and really, I thought at the time, what more could I want?
Right.
I'm so happy every day. What more could I want? But no, I realized through personal development and through having a mentor that you actually have so much inside of you that you possess, that you can actually create whatever world you want to create for yourself.
Right.
So when we saw that, that's when I said, okay, I'm leaving my 9-to-5. So I didn't go on Indeed and look for a new job. I quit my job.
Yep.
And I said, I'm starting my own coaching company.
Love it.
I want to help as many people as I can find this, number one, find this joy that I have. But number two, really begin to understand that no matter where you are today in your life, you can have so much more. Your environment does not matter. Your education does not matter. Your results to this point do not matter. Whatever it is that you want, if you can see it in your head, you can hold it in your hand.
I love that. It's so inspiring to hear you say this.
It's true.
And there's so many people who just cannot think that way.
Yeah.
So with the coaching that you're actively doing and with the clients that you have, what is the challenge that you're finding with people who maybe have tried other coaches previously or other therapy sessions previously? What's a common challenge you're finding people who are new clients for you?
People doubt themselves.
Yeah.
People are really afraid to take risks because a lot of people have not gotten clear enough on their goals.
Right.
Because I think that people have forgotten to tap into that really fun imagination.
Right.
That is a gift that we have. When we're kids, we learn you can be a superhero, you can be a doctor, you can be a ballerina, you can do anything. And then as adults, we learn you just need to pay your bills and get by. And if you want success, take one step forward at a time.
Right.
And I'm here to completely dismantle that entire framework for how things are done, because you can have a really amazing goal. And in fact, you don't even need to worry about the how. You need to just start to really get clear on what it is that you want. And then probably I'll tell you to 10x it. My clients come to me and their goals, I will tell them 90% of the time, no, not big enough.
No. Wow. So you kind of just open up their mind. I feel like, because it's so funny. I just watched The Matrix for the first time with my husband. I'm not sure if you've seen that movie.
Yes, I have.
I'm 32 and he's like, you need to watch this movie. So I watched it and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I'm asking all these questions, but it's all about mindset and being stuck in that matrix. And it's so funny. It's all I can think about right now while you're talking about this.
Yeah.
It's kind of pushing yourself outside of the realm, being like, no, you want to get that car one day. Okay, let's get a nicer car than that one day.
Yes.
You just kind of that whole mindset of how to push somebody. It's really inspiring what you're talking about. So if someone were want to come into your program, like what is the steps they need to take to join you and be, coached by you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on my Instagram.
Okay.
I do have my website. I find most people do find me through my Instagram.
Perfect.
That's where I'm most active.
Right.
So that's where you can get to know me and my perspective. And I also share a lot of ideas and things that people can do today to get started in shifting their mindset. So send me a DM, contact me. We'll hop on a call. You'll be talking to me, not a sales team.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's get started. And I love that you made the Matrix reference, because only when I learned about personal development did I really begin to understand that movie.
Right.
Because I see the parallels now. There is a whole other world beyond what we see.
Yeah.
And I teach people how to tap into that,
Yeah.
and the Matrix is such a perfect analogy for our own paradigms.
Right.
We are all programmed to think a certain way. So much of the way that we see ourselves and the world and our career potential is based on ideas that we didn't even ever have. It was based on things that our parents told us, or teachers, or people in our environment. It's based on the environment that we grew up in.
Yep.
If we grew up in, XY demographic, we identify with that. And we don't often tend to seek something more. Right. So as adults, we have so many limiting beliefs where we just learned that this is what we should expect of the world and of ourselves. And in fact, most of those ideas are completely irrelevant and will have no bearing on your future.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting the way you break things down. Now, I know before we kind of got started with the live stream, you mentioning that you're a mom too.
Yes.
So with everything that you have gone through with the transitions in life and the mindset shift, how has that affected your parenting now compared to before this huge life change has happened?
Huge. My patience level is so high. And in fact, I teach my kids everything that I learned.
Yeah.
They're never too young. I teach them every morning gratitude. This morning, my son said to me unprompted, he said, "Mommy, I'm grateful for my new school. And I'm grateful for this," because whenever I'm talking to them, I say, okay, guys, especially if they're angry, I'll say, let's do a reset. Tell me 2 things you're grateful for. Instant vibration shift. And I see that in them. So as a parent, I've learned to really communicate in a more positive way, but also the messages that I'm giving to my kids matter to them, because I'm actually programming them.
Exactly.
I'm creating their self-image.
It goes full circle entirely.
It goes full circle. And I want to program the best, most confident ideas into my kids. And I want them to always retain that sense of fun and imagination.
That's so awesome. So have you seen a shift in them? Because I know you mentioned at the time when you had kind of just like a breakdown, your oldest was 4, you mentioned. So, and you mentioned he's around 7 now.
Yeah.
Have you seen a huge shift in them and their behavior and their thoughts and beliefs so far?
Yeah, definitely. Love it. I mean, to hear my kids talk about things they're grateful for. And in fact, I can tell you that in the times that I had my worst bouts of anxiety, I had a lot of migraines, for example. Okay. So once in a while, I would hear my older son, who was 4 at the time, now 7, maybe sometimes complain, "Oh, I think this hurts," or maybe I have a headache, because he was mirroring what he saw in me.
Yeah.
So now he's mirroring the gratitude, the I am affirmations. I'll have them write down what their favorite I am affirmations. Right now, his favorite is "I'm a good reader."
I love that.
So
that's awesome.
Definite shift.
So do you find with the clients that you have, is it more so people who are, struggling with the mental health aspect, or people who are just kind of stuck in a 9-to-5 position, just their career in general? Like, does it have to be people who are actually struggling with an anxiety, or it's like, can we open the avenue for literally anybody?
I have clients that have the anxiety piece, and they work with me mostly for that. But I have a lot of clients who are extremely successful real estate investors.
Love that.
And they want to become decamillionaires. And it's breaking that wall. No, you definitely don't have to have anxiety to do personal development. It's not a prerequisite.
Yeah.
If you have it, let's work on it so that you can get to that amazing version of yourself.
Of course.
But I have a lot of clients who are extremely successful and want to take their business to the next level. This applies to all areas of life: your health, your wealth, your success, your relationships. So anybody can benefit from it, and you can be incredibly successful or not.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you're at, you can still, because I'll tell you too, a lot of my successful clients, I really have to work hard with them on finding a sense of purpose. They have the success, they have the money in the bank, but something's just not fulfilling them. So then we need to look at, okay, in what ways are you giving back? Right. Let's find something that you're really passionate about, and let's bring that into your world.
It's interesting that you say that. It reminds me of a previous episode I did with Judith Tate. And she talks about, someone having to find their why. Yeah. And on a daily basis, okay, like what's your why? So it's almost like you're also doing the same thing, finding out what that purpose is and what that why is. Do you find that's something a lot of people struggle with now, is figuring out what their why is?
Probably. I did.
Yeah.
I did. I can tell you that before I went on this journey, I would have told you, had you asked me, I would have said my purpose is to be a good mom.
Right.
And that felt great, but it wasn't enough. I have more to offer. So now my purpose is completely shifted. And I work with 100% of my clients on finding their purpose.
Yeah.
Everybody has a passion that needs to be brought out. And a really big part of success and of creating a dream life and receiving abundance is also helping others.
That's amazing. So with everything you have going on, I know you mentioned that you also do, elite aligned coaching.
Yes.
With like the real estate investor side.
Yeah.
With everything that you have gone through, how do you correlate that? How does this go into that and benefit this one specifically that you have with your husband and also the business partner?
Yes. So Elite Aligned Coaching is a company that we started with our mentor.
Okay, awesome.
Almost, I would tell you 90% of our clients are real estate investors, as are we. So it's sort of blossomed into this real estate / mindset program, but we do have a lot of non-real estate investor clients as well who are in Elite Aligned. And what we are finding with real estate investing is it's a really tricky world.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard to make decisions and to have the confidence that you're making the right decisions. So our real estate investor clients, no matter where they're at in this journey, some have never bought a property and some are, trying to get into the deca-millionaire status. But wherever they are, that you hit this terror barrier, right? Where you're just not sure if you're making the right decision. And you want to have the confidence in real estate to know that your investors are getting the right assets.
Of course.
So with the mindset world, what we work on is getting really clear on the big picture goal.
Okay.
Because our real estate investor clients often are trying to look one step ahead and trying to assess, and then they can get incredibly stuck. So what we do is we work from the end.
Yep.
And then every decision, does it get me to my goal? Yes, great, do it. No, put it away. Don't even entertain it.
Yeah.
Just keep going, pivot. And the nice thing about our personal development course as well is a lot of entrepreneurs, real estate investor, and any other type of entrepreneurship.
Right.
You can get really stuck questioning yourself.
Yes, very much so.
You need to be able to have the right personality to be able to be an entrepreneur. So we develop that. How do I become really good at pivoting? When I get an obstacle, don't shy away from it. Obstacles are good. Challenges are good because they teach your brain how to navigate challenges. And that's the building blocks of becoming a successful entrepreneur.
Of course.
So the more challenges you have, I say celebrate them. Applaud the challenge that you have to figure out. When something doesn't go your way, say, yes, this was my chance to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because then you get really good at problem solving, and that's what makes you a really successful investor and entrepreneur.
Of course. So with everything you have learned and the decisions that you and your husband are actively making for your own portfolio, how has that benefited you to this extent compared to if you didn't go through all these shifts? Yeah. Would you have started into investing? Would you have done this? Would you have done that?
My husband and I had one duplex.
Okay.
This is 5 years ago when we started.
Okay.
We had one duplex.
4
years later, we still had one duplex. We could not raise capital.
Got it.
We could not get ahead. We could not pull the plunge. We could not, it wasn't working. When we took a mindset course and got a mentor, it catapulted. We got clear on our goals. We got clear on the confidence that we needed to have. And in fact, with personal development, you learn that things need to flow. Right. You learn to listen to your gut. We all have a gift. It's called our intuition. Yes. I talk about your imagination. We also have a really strong intuition that we stopped tapping into. So once we started to learn to go with our gut and to go with the flow and to let things happen, the opportunities that came into our world, the people that came into our world, everything started to fit. And people think that real estate investing and entrepreneurship has to be really hard. It doesn't. It should actually flow. When you're making the right decisions, things should feel like they're flowing actually quite naturally.
Right. Interesting. Flowing naturally.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to get my mindset like that, because I feel like it's like you're talking about obstacles, one after another. So it's like talking about obstacles, as we're saying, and then getting to the point of burnout. So have you ever, other than kind of like, back in however many years ago it was in your kitchen, since then, have you felt a burnout happen for any obstacles that you've run into?
No, never. We prioritize self-care.
Got it.
Right? I make time every single day to get my headspace right. The clients that we work with, we teach them a millionaire morning routine.
Okay.
So that as
Tell
soon
me
as
about
you
this, please.
yeah. So basically, I won't give too. I won't
let's
talk your head off. But I'll tell you, when you wake up, you have a really good opportunity to set your mindset for the day.
Okay.
Because often when we wake up, the first thing we do is take a mental inventory of all the things that we're dreading. So we're setting our day up right from when we get out of bed to go, oh, I can't believe I have this meeting and my boss is going to give me a hard time and I have to go to the dentist and my kids are going to spaz, right? And so we can get ourselves started in a really negative mindset.
Yeah.
So we teach our clients, as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, start with gratitude. Right away, start with things that you're grateful for. And for some people, that can be really hard in the beginning.
I have to say, I'm in that time where I'm like, I don't know what I'm grateful for right now.
Right. So you would wake up and you can say, wow, I'm so grateful I have this comfortable bed. I'm so grateful I have feet to take me to work today.
Right.
You can start off with really basic things. And what you will discover is that, in fact, one day you'll go, no, actually, you know what? I'm also grateful for this and this and this, and that spirals.
Right.
And when you can start your day in gratitude, you're setting your mind up to look for more things that you're grateful for, right? So that in itself can start up your day in such a positive way and create opportunities for yourself to see more things in your life that you actually are really happy about.
Of course.
So things like I am affirmations. These sound really silly to almost all of my clients at first. They're like, I'm smart, I'm successful, I'm going to do it because Tamar told me to, but it feels really silly.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, it works. Your subconscious is always listening. Your logical brain can accept or reject, but your subconscious cannot. So whatever you feed it repetitively enough, it will begin to learn. And if you feed it enough positive things about yourself, well, guess what? Soon you're going to wake up and you're going to be feeling pretty differently about yourself.
Just automatically feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we have viewers right now that are like, hey, you know what? Like, maybe I'm kind of down in the dumps and I should listen to Tamar.
Yeah.
What would be, we'll say, the first 3 steps that they should take, let's say, as of tomorrow morning? I know this is probably one of them, waking up and naming off things you're grateful for.
Yeah.
But after that, what would be 2 great steps to take after that?
Yeah. I'll give you 2 more.
Yeah.
So number 1, yes, 100% find ways to find gratitude.
Right.
That'll be the number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, go help someone else. This is an instant frequency vibration accelerator.
Right.
If you are down in the dumps, but you realize that there's somebody in your family, there's somebody in your community, there's somebody in your city, there is somebody right now that you can help. Right. And you're in a unique position to do that. And it doesn't have to be that you need to go and donate your money. You have time, you have energy, you have other resources. And I'm telling you, there's no more of a feel-good feeling than going and helping somebody else.
Right.
So if you are down in the dumps, find somebody to help. You're going to feel so good about yourself.
Interesting.
Number 3, call me.
Call her, guys.
Number 3, call me. Go on my Instagram. I have lots of strategies day to day. Do things like meditation. Do the I am affirmations. All of those things, as silly as they may feel in the moment, if you do them repetitively enough, will start to work. And this is why you need to have a mentor. And this is why I say I'm joking and I'm saying call me, but I'm not joking because having a mentor with you will be able to pull out your potential. Will be able to see you, will be able to help you see opportunities that you didn't even know you had, and will be able to actually show you your own gifts.
Right.
Help you find your sense of purpose, help you find that next step. If you are down and you are in the dumps, that's your indicator that something needs to change.
Of course.
So take that first step, reach out and change it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So with everything you have going on, mom, entrepreneur, CEO, all that fun stuff, what do you find yourself that you still maybe struggle with or have challenges with on a day-to-day?
I struggle with a couple of things actually that I still need to work on.
You sound pretty perfect, so I'm not sure.
No, believe me. Number one, so one of my affirmations that I have to constantly remind myself is that I'm smart enough and I am. Listen, I get in my own head all day long. I realized through this whole process that in fact, the thought loop that plays in my head about myself can often be quite negative.
Yeah.
I am a huge critic of me. And so having to replace those thoughts with positive thoughts all the time, you don't get any days off with thinking highly about yourself and developing your confidence. So that is something that I still work on. And also my relationship with money. Because we, as coaches, we teach you to adopt a wealth and abundance mindset. Right. Meaning, the more that you're focused on debt, you're going to be attracting debt. Mm-hmm. So how do you start to focus on wealth and building wealth instead?
Right. Okay.
When I get a bill and it's high, when a contractor calls us and tells us this job is going to be 30 or 40 or 50 or 100,000 over,
right?
I still have that knee-jerk reaction going, oh no, where are we going to find this money? How are we going to come up with this? This is horrible. This is such bad news. No. And I have to catch myself and I have to interrupt those thoughts and I have to say, no, it's not good or bad. It just is.
That's so difficult to kind of just take that away.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. That's like years of self-teaching.
Yeah. So my relationship with money and looking only from an abundance point of view, right? I still work on that every day.
Yeah, everyone of course still struggles.
Yeah.
So you guys shifting and going into that kind of the real estate investor mindset.
Yeah.
What was the pivoting moment where you and Matt were like, hey, we should do this?
The real estate?
Yeah. Like the mindset coaching with that portion.
The mindset coaching?
Yeah.
So the mindset coaching, because of the shift that we saw in our own lives, we were like, we can't keep this under lockdown. Yeah. We need to tell as many people as we know about what we're doing and about the success that we've had. When we started this program, we were $65,000 in debt, borrowing money from my parents every day just to pay our bills. Today we have a $6 million portfolio. We'll reach 10 by the end of the year. So when we learned the tools and our real estate portfolio, I'm going to tell you, came more from personal development and having the right mindset, a lot more than it did the knowledge about real estate.
Interesting. Because a lot of coaches out there kind of push that.
We will tell you mindset first. When I get a client, we don't even talk real estate for several weeks, sometimes months, until the mindset is there first. Then we can talk real estate. Then we can strategize about the portfolio.
So do you think that is something a lot of people are struggling with then, because they just think about because there's a lot of people out there who are doing the coaching educational courses for like real estate. But if someone really isn't there intellectually or even just like spiritually, do you think that's something that a lot of people are struggling with? Because that's something you're seeing in the community?
1,000%.
Yeah.
People have a lot of courses under their belts. And in fact, our clients usually have 2, 3, 4, 5 courses that they've taken.
Right.
And they're still stuck wherever they are. Maybe they haven't been able to make their first purchase. Maybe they're on their 10th, but they just can't get to that next step.
Right.
Wherever they are along their journey, I will always tell you the mindset needs to come first, because business success is 95% mindset and 5% action.
Interesting.
You can take action all day long and you can be really busy and you can feel really productive, but you might not actually be moving forward.
Right. And just kind of
you're just doing things, right? Or you can be a course zombie where you just want to ingest as much information as you can so that you have all of the knowledge in your head. But if you don't have your goals clear enough, you're not going to get to them. You can have all of this amazing wealth of knowledge, but if you don't know what your goals are and what it is that you really want in your life, the knowledge doesn't matter, because your next steps are not going to necessarily be taking you to where you want to get.
Yeah. How to implement those, like how do you even begin or even just get that thought process of how to implement to even get to like what the goal is.
Yes.
Okay. So you and Matt are obviously, like I mentioned, a power couple, and I think it's fantastic. You guys should hone in on that a lot. You mentioned that you guys are in the process of creating, or you just created a podcast.
Yeah.
So what's the goal for that?
Yes. We are on episode 8.
Okay.
We will have you as a guest. It's called the Mind Method Coaching Podcast.
Love it.
And we are sharing our journey because a lot of people meet us now and they start to understand where we are now. But we've gone way back on our podcast. We are sharing with you our journey, our struggles, our backgrounds. Where do we come from? How do we get started? I take you through my anxiety. I take you through that process. And we're really breaking down the steps before the steps.
Right.
So that everybody who comes on our podcast and watches it can go on our journey with us. And our journey is just getting started.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So it just gets, it's funny because the way that you're speaking and all the experience that you had, it makes it sound like you've been going at this for however many years, but it's obviously still so fresh that you guys are working at.
Yeah.
So with it being so fresh, what are the goals that you and Matt have right now for, we'll say, the next 5 years? Like, what are those big goals that you are affirmating?
Yeah. Next 5 years will be $100 million portfolio for real estate.
Okay.
Help as many people as we can through coaching. I started a foundation because our older son has food allergies.
Okay.
And people don't realize it's a struggle. He's allergic to milk and eggs and a lot of things that affect his day-to-day quality of life.
Course.
So my mission started off being that he does oral immunotherapy treatment. I wanted to be able to pay for as many families as possible to also do the same treatment.
Right.
It's extremely expensive. It's not covered by insurance yet. And even when it is, I want to be able to help families go through the allergy treatments that they need. But in fact, my goal has grown in the past year, and I would actually like to acquire enough wealth to put back into food allergy research so that my legacy will be to help find a cure in my son's lifetime.
That's amazing.
Will I reach it? I don't know, but I'm sure as heck going to try.
That's a big goal to have.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like you're taking the right steps to get there?
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think like with any disease, it just needs the right funding and the right amount of research. So I will hope to be able to donate. And Matt and I really want to create a lot of memories for our kids. And we're extremely passionate about helping as many people as possible realize what their dream lives are and then take the steps to live them.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something that I think a lot of people, even myself, struggle with, where it's like I have a dream set in mind, but how to make that a reality.
Yeah.
That is something I think everybody struggles with, especially in the year 2024.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the last 4 to 5 years have been just absolutely crazy for everybody.
Yeah.
So putting your word out there and what you guys are doing, I think, is so positive and amazing for any sort of community, not just the investor community. So I'm very proud of you as a person, and obviously Matt as well. And I think it'd be great to have you join me again, even if it was like a year from now, to see what progress you have come to from here and the goals that you guys have hit. So I think this has been a great episode. And is there anything else that you would like to discuss or let everybody know? You can definitely do that right now.
I would just say to anybody listening, it does not matter where you are.
Right.
I've said this a couple of times. It does not matter what your environment is or what your results have been to date. You can still create the life that you want, whether you are 30 or 60 or 70 and you've had no results so far and you think that wealth or whatever it is that you want. When I say wealth, by the way, I'm talking about energy, memories, life.
Yes.
I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about your health. And if you think that wealth is just not something that you can attain at this point in your life because you've come this far and it just hasn't happened, that is meaningless. You can have it. You can have anything that you want.
Awesome. I love that. That's a great way to close out this episode. Do you want to just let everyone know where they can find you too, if they're ready to talk to you
Yes,
ASAP?
absolutely. Please reach out. Please reach out and say hello anyways. I would really love to connect. And so reach out to me. So my Instagram at the.tamar.altschuler. And then you can also check out elitealignedcoaching.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for today.
Thank you for having me.
This was awesome.
My pleasure.
Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll be back again next week. And again, thank you. This was an amazing episode.
Oh,
thank you.
it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
See you guys. See you next week.